Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. If you are new here, and a big welcome back if you're a returning viewer. It's great to see you both, and I hope you're doing well, and I hope you had a good January. My name is Anna. I live in Seattle, Washington, and I am a maker of all things. And today I'm going to be talking you through some of my knitting projects for January. So what I was working on, what I finished, and what I'm planning to do for February, a little bit of what I acquired. So there's a good mix of stuff, and I'm excited to chat with you. It's been a few weeks, and January is just a long month in general, so lots of opportunity for progress. So yeah, also I apologize for my previous video for the 22 wrap up. I know the audio was a bit challenging for people, so thank you for bearing with it if you did. If there's ever something in my video that you don't enjoy, you're welcome to click away. I'm not offended if you click away. This is just like a light entertainment. So if the audio is hurting your ears or something, please click away. It's okay. I'm not going to be sad. So yes, sorry about that. I double checked the audio this time, so it shouldn't be a problem, and we can just get rolling with no problems. Okay, so for this month, I only have one finished object, and I know it doesn't look finished, but it is. So this is a test knit that I signed up for kind of on the, what's the word? Just kind of spontaneously. This is the Salter Beanie by OZETTA, which has now been released. I think it released on Friday, January 26th or 27th. And it's a lovely, very beginner friendly beanie with a triple folded brim. I'll put it on for you. With a triple folded brim, and then decreases at the sides to taper up at the top. The reason that mine looks unfinished is because I ran out of yarn. I had probably like this much left to go, and I ran out of yarn. So I finished it in a contrasting color for the test knit, and I'm still trying to decide if I'm going to rip back and reknit it, or just rip back and use the yarn for something else. There's nothing wrong with this pattern. I think this pattern is quite nice. Very, very beginner friendly, which I know was Haley's goal when she made this pattern. But I'm just not sure. I realized after knitting it in this that I have two other kind of similarly colored hats. So I'm not sure I need another purple hat in my life. This yarn is Retrosaria Beroa from Rosa Pomar, and I really liked the yarn. I like that it has these kind of like natural brown sections running through it. So you have the colored fleece, and then just like places where the brown fiber kind of runs through the fleece, and it makes this kind of striping effect, but I don't think it looks kind of organic and unintentional, I think. This is what it looks like unfolded, by the way. It's very long. So if I were to make this again, if I decide I want to make it again, I can rip back and just do it double folded. So the hat will be double folded instead of triple folded, and just more like this, which is an option. But I just haven't decided yet. I can also give this away, which would be a lovely gift. So stay tuned for that. The only thing is that I knit this exactly to pattern because it was a test knit. I really enjoyed the test knitting experience for OZETTA. Would definitely test knit for her again. The only thing is that personally, I think if I were to knit it again, I would do the folded part of the brim a little bit longer. So if I were going to double fold it, I would probably all the way back to the fold, knit the brim a little bit longer before joining, and then head into the increases. So yeah, she was really receptive to feedback. I'm sure she did make some adjustments in the pattern, and I really enjoyed working for her. So I'll put it on again so you can kind of see the shape of it. And you know, here, I'll pull this string that's holding the stitches tight so you can see, but it's really cute. I think really nice. And I really enjoyed the test knit experience. So that was kind of a spontaneous test knit that I did. I wasn't planning to do that this month, but I enjoyed the experience, enjoyed making this hat, enjoyed working with this yarn quite a lot. And yeah, so you're welcome to go buy the Salter Beanie now if it looks like something you'd be interested in. It's kind of a similar shape to Sari Nordland's new beanie. The Sailor Beanie, I think. Sari Nordland has a couple new hats coming out, but the one that she has that also just has the increases on the side. It's not something I think I've ever seen before, and now I've seen two designers doing it, so very interesting. But similar shape. This one's just stockinette instead of rib, and it's made with beginners in mind. So that sounds like something that's up your alley. Go for it, because I really enjoy OZETTA's patterns. I have quite a few in my library. I'm working on one right now that I'll talk to you about in a moment. And yeah. So that's my little Salter Beanie. She's kind of resting while I decide how to finish it off. But yes, that's my beanie. And that's my only finished object for this month because I was working on kind of a lot of different things. But I did want to show you that I picked back up this. So this is my anemone sweater by MARITA CLEMENTZ, who is a Swedish designer. And I picked this back up. I think the last time you saw it was in November, and I was about here maybe. So I have since split for sleeves and worked a few rows on the body. And I finished my first ball of the contrast color. I have 3. I'm hoping that it's enough. I'm a little concerned, but I can always get more if I need to. I am using Briggs & Little Regal for this project. The yellow is Briggs & Little Regal in the color Yellow WO. And then the white is just kind of a mysterious worsted weight yarn that I reclaimed from an old sweater that I found at a thrift store. So this is what it's looking like so far. The yoke is quite deep. Because I'm making the size large, I wanted a good amount of ease on this. It's going to be a really warm, really like hardy sweater. This is like the kind of sweater I would wear out without a jacket. But yeah, I'm excited to keep going on this. I don't think it's going to be done for spring, honestly. Like every row of this takes quite a long time. It takes a good amount of concentration because I'm pretty much always looking at the chart, or at least have to look at the chart for the first repeat of the flower and then repeat it all the way around. So I don't think it's going to be done soon. I have some other stuff I'd rather work on. Not that I'm not enjoying this, I am enjoying this, but it's just like not my top priority. But if I can get it done before the end of the year, obviously that's my ideal. And I started this in October, so it's been on the needles for a few months, but not like an exorbitantly long amount of time. I love the little neck detail. You do kind of like a little stockinette roll before you start the ribbing. I did add short rows in the back of this sweater, just on the back panel, not across the raglan. And we'll see once it's finished how they stand. There is a little bit rowing out, and it's a single layer of fabric, where a lot of this is a double layer of fabric, so it's not super sturdy. So my plan is that if it kind of, this is a problem that I've faced before with short rows like this, where it just kind of puffs out in the back like this, the fabric does. Like that. Can you see? Where it just kind of like bunches instead of standing up like it's supposed to. I may take a strand of the white on the inside and just kind of weave it through to reinforce the fabric so it'll stand sturdy. That's my plan for now. And yeah, I just want to highlight though that this is not a beginner pattern by any means. This is a Swedish designer who translated her pattern into English, which is not her first language. So there's some translation things that I wouldn't say are like standard, but if you know how to make a raglan sweater and you've done color work before, I think it's manageable. There's not a lot of hand holding in the pattern. It's very self-guided, but I really enjoyed it. And I just wanted to highlight that like there's a lot of thought that's gone into this sweater, because she's set it up so that the stitches, like so that you're doing 2 different like mirrored repeats on the sleeves, but then when you join for the body, you join with one of the flowers growing out from the middle. So it kind of, you have the perfect number of stitches to make the flowers meet and have the flower under the arm, where before they were kind of like growing out from the center. Now they're mirrored on the underarms, which I just think is really clever, and shows that a good amount of thought went into this. So yeah, I've really enjoyed working on it. I'm going to keep working on it. I'm not going to like have it done by any certain time, but I'm going to keep working on it. There's also a child's version of this sweater, so if it looks like something you would kind of want to try, but a whole grown-up size sweater sounds very overwhelming, there's a kid's version, which I think would be so cute. Really great for if you live in a cold place, but your kid doesn't want to wear a puffy coat, like playing on the playground or something. It's so warm if you do 2 layers of wool that it would work really well for something like that. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's very sunshiny. I love the color. There's a lot of dimension in the yellow that I'm not sure the camera is going to be able to pick up. There's just a lot of dimension. There's like pink and red and orange in the yarn. It's a dyed in the wool and then blended together kind of color. And I just think it's so pretty. I'm really enjoying it. And it's just so happy. So yeah, that's what I worked on this for a couple days this month. I was happy to just pick it back up again and keep working on it. This is another new cast on that you haven't, this is a new cast on that you haven't seen before. I started working on these socks and have really enjoyed them. These, excuse me, I think these are called the Cape Gingham socks, which is a free sock pattern on Ravelry. And they're written for sport weight yarn, but I've adapted the pattern for fingering weight yarn. I am using Sudness Garn Sisu, which this is my first time using this yarn. Well, I started knitting a pair of socks with these yarns, the 2 purples, last year and made a mistake in the pattern, so I ripped back to the ribbing, and I just had the ribbing hanging around for a while, so I've picked it back up again and started doing it with the gingham. I think I just like it a little bit better, and I do really love the way that the gingham looks. It's so interesting and pretty that you can make such a cool, and like, I just think it's crazy that you can do that with 2 sticks and some string. Like, that's amazing. For the heel flap, I kind of freestyled a little bit, and I think it might be kind of deep. I'm a little worried about that, so I need to try this on before I go too much further, because it just seems really, like, that seems really deep. So before I get it too much further, I'm going to try this on. Actually, I should probably just do it right now, because it's not really on the needles right now. I made a mistake and had to rip back. So we're going to do a live try on and see what I think. This is my first time doing a colorwork sock, and I'm enjoying it, but, oh, okay. It's not terrible. I'm not going to show you my toes, but it fits okay. It does come up quite high on the back of my heel. This is not the best way to show you this, but here we are. I think it's fine. I'm not upset about it. So I'm going to keep going then. We've decided together. All right. They are not the easiest to get on and off over my heel, but there's enough stretch in the fabric that, like, it fits and it won't be uncomfortable, and they'll be very thick and very warm. To the yarn, these are 2 yarns that I bought when I was on vacation last spring in Norway. I bought them at SPRAGUE, which is a very cute little yarn store in Bergen, and they were on sale, so I bought them. I bought 2 skeins of the dark purple and 1 skein of the light purple, thinking I would do colorwork socks with them, and I'm gonna have leftovers of both. I think I still have. Well, I weighed the light purple when I got to the heel, because I was like, I need to make sure I have enough for 2 socks across this. And from a 50-gram ball, I had still 48 grams of yarn. So I don't know if my ball was just really generous, or if this just really doesn't take socks. Colorwork socks don't take a lot of yarn, but we'll have plenty to do the 2 socks. And I have 2 yellow colors of this as well. I don't remember the colors off the top of my head, but they are linked to my Ravelry project page, which I will drop down below for you. But I would not say this is a yarn that I really am enjoying knitting with, because it just kind of, it's spun in a way that it like tangles up on itself when you're knitting with it. So I'm not gonna be able to say here, but like when you're knitting with it, it starts to like wrap up on itself like this and like twist up on itself, and you kind of have to yank on it. It's a little bit of a finicky yarn. It's a superwash, which is not my favorite. It is good for socks. But it's just not a yarn that I'm really enjoying the knitting experience of. So I will knit with what I have, but I will probably not buy sisu again, just because I'm not really enjoying knitting with it. But yeah, that's my little caped gingham sock. Very cute, very fun to work on. And I don't have a ton left. Like, the foot will probably end up being about as long as the body, or the leg, which was 5 repeats, because so you do the 2-row repeat. 1, 2, 3, it was 4 repeats. So yeah, and I've already done, well, I would say the foot probably actually starts here now that we've done the heel turn. So it won't take me a ton of time to finish. So yeah, I'm gonna keep working on that. It's a good project for when I ride the bus to work in the mornings, and I've been enjoying it so far. But I have kind of put it aside in favor of this project, which I'm trying to make significant progress on. You've seen this for quite some time now. This is my half and half triangles wrap from PURL SOHO. I think I started this also in October. I think I had a big cast on party in October, and I'm really paying for it now. I have a lot of long-term whips. So this is my half and half triangles wrap. I know it doesn't look like it's really grown much since the last time you see it, but I do feel like I've put a good amount of work into this since you last saw it. It's probably doubled in size. And I'm getting close to halfway. So the half and half triangles wrap is a free pattern from PURL SOHO. I'm knitting mine in a single strand of unspun yarn from Hillesvåg, which is a Norwegian yarn producer. If you'd like to learn more about Hillesvåg or see more of their yarns, I will direct you to Inga from Knitting Traditions channel, because she loves their yarn. She buys it all the time, and she recently just purchased quite a lot of it, and she knits with it a lot and really likes it. So if you want to learn more about it, go over there. But yes, I'm knitting my half and half triangles wrap in the unspun. I have white for one side and black for the other. I'm really enjoying the process of knitting with it. Knitting with the yarn. I would say I am not someone who loves knitting endless stockinette. I was watching a video from my friend Francesca the other day. Her channel is an Italian knitter. She's lovely. I really like her. And like all of her projects are just stockinette in the round or garter stitch. And she was just talking about how much she loves it and finds it very soothing. We are not the same in that way. And I messaged her and I was like, we just need to be neighbors so that you can do my stockinette and I can do your color work. Because I love doing color work. But I often end up wearing things that are plain stockinette. So I'm trying to be more intentional and practical in 2023 with what I knit. Because I have lots of cool sweaters that are like color work or cables, but I never wear them. I'm just not drawn to wearing them. So I'm trying to be more practical and I'm just gonna knit more stockinette and enjoy the process. And this is kind of a weird tangent that I'm going on, but I'm probably gonna not be knitting as many things this year because I'm gonna be working on things that will take me a longer amount of time, or I wanna be working on more gifts or just like ways, because I just don't need a ton more in my own personal wardrobe. And I want the pieces I use to be worn. So just bear in mind, like every episode may not have a finished object or a finished sweater, but I'm trying to be more intentional and practical with my makes over the next year. So random tangent, but now we are back. So the moral of that story was I'm probably going to be knitting more plain stockinette this year than I would really prefer, but I'm trying to balance fun and practicality, and it may just mean that things take a little bit longer. So back to this. I think I'm about halfway, and you may be like, yeah, that doesn't really look like halfway to me. This is the diagonal that I've worked so far, by the way. It's gonna go all the way up. This is a free pattern from PURL SOHO, and you kind of make these triangles with short rows. But I am halfway because I calculated, so I cast on 200 stitches, which is a few stitches more than the smaller of the two sizes in the pattern. I didn't want to run out of yarn because I cannot get more of this. So what I did was cast on 200 stitches, and then I used a spreadsheet to calculate, like, okay, if I'm knitting 200 stitches, one full row is 200 stitches one way and 200 stitches the other way. So I calculated knitting all 200 stitches, and so it's like 200 plus 200 plus 199 plus 199 plus 188, 198, blah, blah, blah. How many stitches that was total that I would have to knit for each triangle, and then what the halfway point of all the stitches I had to knit for each triangle was. And it turns out at about like 60-ish rows. So when you've done on the diagonal like 60 short rows, you are about halfway through number of stitches, and I'm at like 45. So I'm close to halfway, being halfway done with the first triangle, which is encouraging to me because this is a long and slow process. But I'm enjoying it, and I have been working on it more recently, and I'm going out of town for work this week, and I'm trying to decide which I have to do quite a bit of traveling to get where I'm going. And I'm trying to decide which projects I'm going to take with me, and I'm probably going to take this because, again, when I was watching Francesca, she was talking about her recently finished half and half wrap and how she had taken it on a work trip with her, and it was like her only project, and she made a ton of progress on it because she wanted to knit. She didn't have any other options. So I may follow her suit in that. The only thing, I'm gonna sneeze, excuse me. Okay, the only thing is that the yarn I'm using is quite delicate, so not the easiest for transport purposes. But at a bare minimum, I wanna try and finish this little ball of yarn that I'm using. This is like a cake that I wound up of this yarn. Maybe I'll try to finish that tonight while I'm catching up on some other podcasts. And finish that tonight before I decide if I'm gonna take this with me on my trip. I'm really enjoying it. The fabric is lovely. Again, this is a single skein of a pretty soft unspun yarn. It's very drapey, it's very squishy, but I know it's gonna be super, super, super warm. And it smells so sheepy, I love it. So I'm gonna keep knitting on this, just knitting away. And hopefully by the next, I think I said in my last video, my last monthly video, that I wanted to have this triangle done by February. So if I continue, I'm almost halfway at the end of January, and I take this on my trip with me, I can probably make some significant progress and hopefully have the first triangle done by the end of January, or end of February. I know February is a short month, but we'll see if I can do that. I'm not like holding myself to that goal, but it would be nice to have the first of the two triangles done by the end of Feb. So yeah, I'm gonna keep working away on this. I'm keeping it in my dumpling bag by PURL SOHO, which I made in November. Very cute little bag, great for knitting projects. And I just wrap it up on itself and store it in there. And so far, so good. I'm trying to be more like Francesca and just enjoy my stockinette knitting. So yeah, that is work in progress number 3. And work in progress number 4 is probably the one that you're most excited about. And it is my, sorry, there's just a lot of balls of yarn sitting next to me. Okay, my last work in progress is my moon set pullover by OZETTA. So I've been talking about making this for months. I think I swatched for it back in October, but I wasn't going to start it until I finished some other projects. So I started it. It was my it was my New Year's Eve cast on. I started it on New Year's Eve, and I am making a dedicated video as I go through the process of making this sweater. So I'm doing a little like a vloggy style video showing you the process of making it, and that will be up as soon as the sweater is finished. But I will show you where we are now. So I finished the body and I am working on the sleeve, and so far it's going pretty quickly. I'm a little less than a quarter of the way done with the sleeve already. This has quite a significant drop shoulder, so that helps a lot. I'm knitting, here I'll do you kind of a close-up of the fabric, and since we're in natural light right now, you can kind of see the colors that it is. It's a very interesting color because I'm using, I cannot pronounce it. It's a Finnish yarn that is, I think, discontinued. I will link it down below, but I'm not going to try and pronounce it because I don't know Finnish. But it was like kind of a yellowy green color, like a pukey greeny yellow before, and then I have over dyed it to get this kind of mossy, foresty, kind of still like a very yellow toned green. And it's not super even the way that I dyed it. So there's a lot of variation in the skeins, which you can tell in the knitted fabric. You can see there's like kind of a lot of speckling and color changing in here. So I did alternate skeins through the body just to kind of keep it a little more loose. And then I'm holding it with one strand of Drops Kid Silk Mohair in the color 19, I think it's called dark green. And this is the fabric it's getting. It's our favorite fabric it's making. It's a very nuanced fabric. These are very obviously not the same color. Like this is a much cooler green than this, but when you knit them together, they make a really nice fabric. It's very lightweight. I think I've probably only used about 200 grams of yarn so far, maybe 250 of the main color, and I'm on my 4th skein of mohair, so I've used 100 grams of mohair. So this probably right now weighs about 300 grams. And I don't think I'm going to use a ton of yarn for the sleeve, so I think it's overall going to be a pretty lightweight sweater. It's very large. I made the size large because I wanted it to be quite oversized and roomy. My goal for this is to have it as like a very nice, oversized, cozy, working from home sweater. And it is quite roomy. I think when I measured it after, I blocked the body before picking up for the sleeves so that the sleeve holes would be kind of easier to get into. I measured it at 112 centimeters circumference, and I have a 96 centimeter, 36 inches, which I think is 92 centimeters. So this has about 20 centimeters of positive ease on me, quite roomy. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I need to sew the back collar down, but I do want to show you the construction on the shoulders because I think it's really clever. You kind of shape this back panel with short rows and then pick up, and it sits really, really nicely on the slope of your shoulder. Like that short row panel really follows the slope of the shoulder in a pretty way. This is, like I said, this was the second OZETTA pattern I knit, and then I knit her beanie. So I've knit quite a few of her patterns. I really like them. I think they're very beautiful, like classic basics. She uses lovely yarns in a lot of her projects. Very just like simple, kind of pared back, but elegant pieces. Really like them. Really, really enjoying this knit. Well, I say that. It's a lot of stockinette. And I had this problem. I knew this was gonna happen to me, but as soon as I joined in the round for the body, I like knit the whole back section, knit the whole front sections with the collar and everything. And then as soon as I joined for the body and it was stockinette in the round, I like didn't really want to work on it anymore because again, I don't just love knitting stockinette endlessly. So that's when I picked this back up and worked on it for a little bit. And then I put it down. I was like, I really want to keep making progress on this. For a minute, I thought I would be able to finish it for my birthday, which was January 20th. I did not. I had not even finished the body at that point. So I'm just gonna keep going, and I think I will have it done pretty soon, like probably in the next week or so. But yeah, it's been a great process and I'm really enjoying it, and I'm really excited to have this product as well. I think it will work well in my wardrobe. So yeah, I'm gonna stop holding this up for you. But yes, that's my moon set pullover by OZETTA. just going swimmingly. And that is all the whips that I have for you. I have a few swatches because this is now my thing, is that when I have like the itch to cast something new on because I'm bored of all my whips, I just swatch instead because I need to be swatching for gauge purposes and fit purposes of my garments. And so it kind of scratches the itch of trying something new without starting a whole new project that would be overwhelming if I just had sitting around. So the first swatch I did was for the, and I just also, by the way, I don't cut the yarn on my swatches because I have a horrible paranoia that I'm going to run out. So I just leave them like this. And sometimes I will still block them, but I have not blocked this swatch yet. But this is a little swatch for the Marseille sweater, which is a sweater by petiteknit. It's also a drop shoulder construction, and it has just stripes on it. It's very simple. Hers is white and blue, very classic Breton stripe kind of look. And I was thinking I would do mine in this green and white color combo. So the green is Briggs and Little. It's not Regal. I don't remember what it is. It's the DK Briggs and Little yarn. Heritage? Maybe it's the other way around. I think the worsted weight that I'm using in the yellow is Heritage, and the green is Regal, which is DK. In the color Fur Green, so it's kind of this, it's another one of those dyed in the wool kind of heathered colors that I'm not sure you're gonna be able to see very well in this light, but it's really pretty. It's got yellows and blues. It's kind of a cooler green than the other sweater that I'm working on. And then the white is Lion Brand Fisherman's Wool, which is just a worsted weight white yarn. The green is very lofty. It's a woolen spun yarn. The white is a worsted spun. So even though they're like, the white is technically a worsted and the green is technically a DK, the white doesn't feel quite as, like you can kind of, I'm not sure you can see in the swatch, but there's definitely like a, they feel different when they're knitted next to each other, but I think it'll be fine. There's a good, this is the right width of the stripes for the petiteknit pattern, but the green sections are like about twice this long. Well, twice this long. So there'll be a good amount of space between them and I think it'll be fine. I have quite a lot of this green yarn, and so I was thinking I might use it for something else, but I really bought it for this purpose. So I'm planning to make this. It will be lovely. I really like the Briggs & Little yarn a lot. It's a Canadian brand. It's very affordable, and they have lots of colors and lots of bases. So if it is accessible to you, then I recommend it. So yeah, that's the swatch for this. I used 4mm needles. Its gauge is fine. Actually, is it? I don't know that I measured the gauge. I should do that. I think I was mostly just checking for, you know, color and everything. I will double check the gauge, but I'm pretty sure it's fine. I used 4mm needles. It's so stretchy and so lovely. So yeah, that's my swatch from the Marseille sweater, which I will probably cast on relatively soon once I finish one of the sweaters I have on right now. I'm gonna try and just work on one sweater at a time, but we'll see how that goes. Probably won't go very well, if I'm being honest with myself. And then I started swatching for something else. Did not get very far. I started swatching for the Smilla sweater by Anne Wenzel, and as you can see, I did not get very far. It's kind of like a little cable-y thing, and I'm just not sure that there's going to be enough definition in this yarn for the kind of cables that it needs. Yeah, this is an Angora and wool blend yarn that I got secondhand. I talk about it in my December video if you want to go back and hear me talk a little bit more about it. But again, I'm just not sure that there's going to be enough stitch definition in this yarn. Yeah, so I don't think I'm going to use this yarn for that pattern. So I think I'm going to end up using this yarn for the Mia sweater, which is a really pretty raglan sweater. It's mostly stockinette, but it has some pretty details on it that make it a little bit different. So yeah, that's the swatching I've been doing. And that is all I have for updates on that. So eventually I will be knitting a Marseille sweater. Eventually I'll be knitting a Smilla sweater, probably not in that yarn. Eventually I'll be knitting a Mia sweater. But I also, like I said, want to knit a few more smaller projects this year, some more socks and some more gifts. My older sister is pregnant and she's having a little girl in May, and she sent me a picture of some little bloomers that she wanted for her baby. And I was like, oh, I could easily knit those. You do not need to buy them. So I went to Hobby Lobby yesterday, which is not my favorite craft store to go to. I prefer Joann, but Hobby Lobby does have some really, really good house brand yarns in natural fibers. So I bought 1 skein of the Yarn Bee Bambootiful in the color Linen. And this is a 50% cotton, 50% viscose from bamboo yarn. So it's really soft and silky and drapey. And I think it'll be really nice for a baby because you can put it in the machine, but it's also like very soft and not too hot. So I'm gonna make her some little bloomers. I haven't decided on the pattern yet, but I'll put a couple photos here and link some down below for you of the kinds I'm thinking. This is like a DK weight yarn. It's 4 grams, which is 113 yards, is 235 meters. So it's like, but it's a pretty thin yarn. I feel like Sport, honestly, is the right, or DK, maybe DK is the right weight for this yarn. It's recommended 22 stitches. I would say it could probably even go up to 24. But it's just this very pretty cream, kind of off-white, silvery cream color. So I got just one skein of that to make some little shorts for my sister's baby that I will probably cast on next, actually, because I have quite a few babies I need to be knitting for some friends and family. So I need to start on the baby knits marathon. And so I bought that, and I'll probably cast that on next. Whatever I finish first, probably my sweater, I will cast that on next. And then, so that's my first other plan. And then I have acquired some more yarn, which was not intentional. I really want to knit from stash this year. I want to try and knit down my stash. I have a lot of yarn. I don't need more yarn. But my little sister came to visit me this last weekend, and she texted me like on Wednesday or Thursday, and she was like, I'm at the store and they have all this yarn. I'm going to bring you some because you'll love it. And she sent me all this stuff. And so she brought me quite a few skeins of yarn, and I'm going to show them to you. So the first thing she brought was the Knit Picks Eco Superwash sock yarn, which was this skein of yarn. It's 70% alpaca, 30% nylon. 75 cents she paid for this. 75 cents. This retails for $10 a skein. She got it for 75 cents, and she got me 2 of them. So it's a fingering weight alpaca nylon blend. It's extremely, like, it's so drapey. It's so soft. This would be great, I think, for baby knits. It's not like a brushed alpaca, so it's not super fluffy, but it's very soft. It's machine washable because it's superwash, and it's so pretty. So I can either dye this. That's what it's made for. It's made for hand dyeing. So I can dye this, or I can knit with it white. But she got me 2 skeins of this, and it is 400 yards for 100 grams. So like a sport-ish weight, fingering weight. It's kind of a thicker fingering, I guess, but I think it's beautiful. Oh, there goes the tag. And so I have 2 skeins of this. I have no idea what I'm gonna do with them, but they're lovely. So soft, so squishy. And then she bought me 4 skeins of this Valley Yarns Berkshire Bulky, which were like $3 each. This is 85% wool and 15% alpaca bulky weight yarn, which actually I forgot to show you a swatch. I have a couple other bulky weight yarns in my stash. I have this Lion brand Alpine wool, which is discontinued, and I have this K+C Craft roving wool in the gray, which I have leftover yarn of. So I wanted to make, what I am envisioning is like a big chunky zipper sweatshirt, kind of sweater to wear at home, working, just like I want to draft it myself, want to make one. So I started swatching, and I realized I probably wasn't going to have enough yarn with just the 2 colors. This is the gray and the blue. I was thinking I would stripe them. Now I have the white. So between the blue, the white, and the gray, I have about 1,000 yards, which is more than enough to make a sweater for me in a bulky weight yarn. So I think I'm gonna end up having to stripe I have the most of these 2 and the least of the gray. So I think I'm gonna have to end up striping these 2 and maybe just putting like a thin stripe of the blue or the gray. I don't know, but stay tuned for these because I have a plan for them in my brain. And depending on how well I can restrain myself, it may be coming sooner than later. It would be good to have it done while it's still freezing cold outside. I don't know, we'll see. But there might be some self-drafted bulky weight pattern coming from me in the near future. So just heads up. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna do with these, the white alpaca wool. These 2 are both 100% wool. This is 85% wool, 15% alpaca, so not that different. They're all pretty much the same bulky weight. Very excited about that. And then she also brought me 3 skeins of Patton's Classic Wool Worsted in the gray mix color. Yeah, which is a great workhorse yarn. I have like half a skein of this in my stash right now. So I've got like, I think this is about 200 meters per 100 grams. 194 yards, 177 meters for 100 grams. So it's a very like distinct worsted weight. So that means I have about 600 or 700 meters. So I could do this something. I have the Gemma polo by Cookie the Knitter that I could use this for, like a striped polo sweater. That would be really cute. Or I could use it to make like a Sophie shawl or something cozy for a baby. So I have some of this as well. And then, so that's all the stuff my sister brought me, which was super sweet. All of those skeins of yarn cost like $20. It was crazy. So obviously I had to welcome them into my home. And then, as I said, it was my birthday this month. So my brother-in-law sent me a couple balls of yarn, very thoughtful of him. He sent me 2 balls of Cascade Superwash, Cascade 220 Superwash. 1 skein in the color 856, which is this really pretty blue. I like this blue a lot, actually. It's kind of like a petrol-y blue. And 1 skein of this really bright, fun purple, which is color 1986. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with these. I think this would be fun to make a hat out of or something. They would also work well for baby gifts because they are superwash. So they're very washable. So I think these are just probably going to end up camping out in my stash for a little while, but they're very cute, very fun. I really like this blue a lot, very pretty. So yeah, those are some gifts, which was very thoughtful. So that's all I have to talk to you about. It was a lot. I feel like it was a lot. I feel like I haven't talked to you in a while, so I'm a little out of practice, and I feel like I got a little rambly, but yes, it's been good. Been a good month of knitting. I feel like, I mean, that whole that sweater didn't exist when I talked to you last, basically. So made a good amount of progress. I've been knitting while watching Outlander. I just finished season 2. I'm very behind, I know, but I just finished season 2. Probably gonna start season 3 tonight, maybe, or maybe I'll watch it while I'm out of town this week. It's gonna be a busy, like, start to February. I'm going up to Vancouver, BC for work for a couple of days, and then I'm coming home, and then I'm coming home on like a Thursday night, and then on Friday I'm leaving to go away for the weekend with some of my girlfriends. We're gonna go snowshoeing and knit, and it's gonna be great and cozy and warm and delightful. So I'm very excited about that. And then I don't think we have any more plans for the month of February, which I'm actually quite excited about because we've been kind of doing a lot for the past couple months. And I'm excited for just some cozy time at home, work on some house projects, gonna knit, gonna bake some delicious things. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have going on in my life right now. Just trying to like settle into the new year, get things rolling, and knitting a lot. It's just this giant basket of yarn. This is my life. This is what my world looks like. Just a lot of yarn and a lot of knitting, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So with that, I think I will leave you for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I love chatting with you about knitting. It makes me very happy, and I hope you enjoy the videos. I love reading your comments, hearing your feedback. It's great. So thank you all again for watching. Thanks for being here. I hope you had a good start to the year. Hope you have some fun plans for February, and I will talk to you again very, very soon.